What's going on, Imperials? It's Emperor Cubone here. Everyone has their favorite Pokemon types, but some of them are far more common than others, leading to an imbalance. The water lovers out there are in much better shape than the ghost enthusiasts, but half of the fun of Pokemon is combining the different types together, creating brand new ways for these creatures to interact. However, some of these pairings also share an unequal treatment. The normal and flying type combo has more Pokemon in it than 11 other types have in their pure forms. Of course, one of those is pure flying, so that's not really that impressive. Some type combinations are so rare that they only appear on one Pokemon or evolutionary family, and are never seen again, making it almost their sole reason for living. However, if we wait long enough, sometimes we get rewarded by seeing these types meshed together again, like with Poison and Ground. For decades, this was only on the Nido Monarchs as a surprisingly capable pairing, but now in Gen 9, we've seen a new regional Wooper adopt the same mixture of elements. So what other combinations could return? That's not actually a real question, by the way. I don't want to know any of the leaks or anything, you jerks. If you post a leak, you'll be deleted forever. I mean it. But bringing back a type pairing that used to be unique can work out much better in the long run. Just take a look at Magcargo. Fire and Rock was not great to start out, but the Lava Snail's stats didn't really help. However, Generation 8 brought in Carkol and Colossal, who were infinitely better. And if you didn't really like them for some reason, they also gave us the Hisui and Growlithe line, elevating the Fire and Rock combo far beyond what it could have even hoped to achieve before with Magcargo alone. So what other typings should get this treatment? Well, there's any number of ways that you could choose. There's the competitive viability of it, or maybe it just needs a bit of help, or maybe you just think it's cool. So to start off, I think it's safe to say that Fire and Water is pretty much at the top of everyone's list. Number 1, anytime you combine starter types together is something to look forward to, but perhaps more importantly, we basically don't have this combination. Currently, Volcanion is the only Pokemon that embodies these two types, which is nice, but Volcanion is a mythical Pokemon that has exclusively been obtained through distributions, so it's not exactly like you're going to see it all that often. At least the Lotad line could be found in a standard playthrough, but Fire and Water might as well not even be paired at all if you can only wait for it to be gifted to you when someone else deems it worthy. So even a mildly accessible Pokemon from the mid-game would make a huge step up from the ultra-rare legend. So let's see it again and let people actually try out a Water and Fire type for once. Now, sort of on the other end, I think we deserve to see another Grass and Rock type pairing. Right now, the only Pokemon to bear this combo is the Cradily line, and an ancient plant is quite fitting. However, this typing is just too good to keep to itself. Grass and Rock separately share in having the most weaknesses of any types, yet together they net less than either of them had before, with the Rock attacks still being able to take out 2 of those existing weaknesses. Basically, what I'm saying is that Rock and Grass together is much greater than the sum of its parts. So getting something made out of petrified wood or similar origins would be a unique idea for a Pokemon separate from the fossilized plant that we already have, but still incredibly fitting for reviving this underused but beneficial type combination. Really, we just need more Grass-type Pokemon that can actually take on Fire types. Another type combination that we should really see again is Electric and Dark. Not only did it take far too long to get this type pairing, having to wait until Generation 8, but it was also placed on a Pikachu clone. Now, I'm sure that Morpeko has many fans out there, but the truth is that most people are not likely to carry one through the entire game, so effectively these types are still untouched in the eyes of many out there. The thing is that people have been wanting it for years, saying that certain previous Pokemon could have been worthy of this typing. So if we could add Dark onto something besides an emo hamster, it would be most welcome, and probably even becoming a fan favorite. I mean, just imagine an evil Electabuzz variant line, or hey, maybe even an electrified Crocodile. These are the kinds of things that we are missing out on by keeping Electric and Dark so restricted. Because it is actually a decent combination, so let's get some increased base stats behind it. One that I was kind of surprised by is the type pairing of Psychic and Ground. As of right now, the only Pokemon with these types together are the Claydol line. They embody the types well, but it seems like it probably would have come up again at some point, right? And actually, we haven't seen Psychic and Rock since Gen 3 either, but at least that was on 2 different Pokémon. So the ground variations should be at least tried again. It could be as another sort of human-related one, like a Sphinx or something, or it could be some other kind of real inspiration from the animal kingdom. Maybe a blind mole that uses ESP to see. Who knows? The point is that while Claydol is certainly not terrible, we do need to see Psychic and Ground again to see if it can be improved slightly, just like Magcargo before it. So then, way on the other side of things, I think it would be easy enough to see Ice and Fairy paired again. Once more, I am slightly shocked that as of now, the solitary Pokemon to don these 2 types is Alolan Ninetales. Now, don't get me wrong, I love Alolan Ninetales. It was one of my favorite Pokemon in all of Gen 7. But I think Ice and Fairy only on a regional form of an already existing Pokemon doesn't quite have it live up to their full potential. There's any number of ways that the Pokemon Company could make a Frosty Fey creature, so I would be eager to see them mixed together again to get another great entry with these still relatively rare types. Another one that I think should show up again is Rock and Dragon. Now, this combination is rather recent in terms of the whole series, only being seen in Kalos with the Tyrantrum line. I love these fossil Pokemon so much. However, I can acknowledge that the types, when put together, are just okay at best, gaining slightly more weaknesses than the other way around. And while it is more common to find some dragons earlier in the games these days, it would still be nice to have some more. Or at the very least, some that might actually evolve. No offense, guys. It doesn't have to be a pseudo-legendary or anything, but having a stone dinosaur grow into a giant would be a nice change of pace. And maybe you could even make it out of some magnetic rock to give it a gimmick that sets it apart from all of the other ones. But speaking of magnets, in looking at the steel type, I guess I never realized that it was only ever paired with Dark once in the Bisharp line from Unova. This seems a bit strange given that they were both introduced in Generation 2, but it took a while for them to coalesce. I guess Steel did kinda deserve to be by itself first, but is there really such a lack of ideas for how something metal could also be evil? Or even just slightly underhanded in their tactics? To me, Bisharp actually seems fairly honorable, but it gets the Dark moniker anyway, so who's to say there couldn't be a villainous attack helicopter or something? Well, at that point it would actually probably be a flying type, but you get the idea. Sure, it creates a vastly crippling weakness to the fighting type, but the 11 resistances and immunities should also be weighed against that. And it makes this a pretty good typing that could really help players out if it could be found earlier in a new region. Another well that I think has barely been tapped as far as Pokemon types go is that of Poison and Fire. The only incarnations for this pairing right now are the Salandit family, who are pretty great for sure, and they clearly share in both types equally. But I don't think that this is the extent of what they have to offer. I think it would be pretty easy to make a Pokemon based around the specific idea of the toxins that volcanoes can pump out. That could even result in some regional variants of existing pollution-based Pokemon, perhaps, but it would still be quite fitting for the combination that has twice as many resistances as it does weaknesses, which is great for 2 types that really don't interact all that much. A type duo that I don't really want to see, but likely needs to be seen more, is that of Water and Steel. Currently, Empoleon is the only Pokemon to have this special typing. And since Empoleon is my favorite Pokemon, I would kind of like it to keep that unique trait. But boy, this combination is just too good to hoard. Water and Steel has just 3 weaknesses, but 11 resistances and immunities, so you're gonna come out pretty well in most of your fights. There's also no shortage of opportunities for this possible pairing, from an armored swordfish, to possibly a sunken treasure chest, to a full-blown military battleship. So they easily could have put these 2 types together again. Maybe they were just too scared of making such a valuable combination so common in diluting it from the fabulous Emperor Penguin. But to me, probably the type combination in most dire need of a revamp is that of Electric and Ground. Right now, Stunfisk is the only Pokemon to combine these 2 types, and that is just a huge letdown for the potential that they have. This floundering Flapjack is one of the ugliest Pokemon around, and yet no other Pokemon can bring together these 2 disparate types? It's always interesting to see two opposite types come together, so having lightning put with the earth that is immune to its shock is quite the experiment, and the combination itself yields average results, but there has got to be some better idea out there than a random muddy fish. You could have an electric and ground type porcupine. I know I've said before that this inspiration should be on a normal and poison type, but hey, the Paldea region has already provided that to us, so a tiny waddling mammal with electrified quills could be perfect. I could also see maybe a kangaroo getting involved in this, or perhaps a regional variant of some already existing Pokémon, or really just any number of things that would be far better than leaving the horrifically embarrassing Stunfisk as the only Pokémon to personify such a distinctive combination as electric and ground. So, those are just some of the unique type pairings in Pokémon that I feel need to be used again. Which restricted type combo would you most like to see reused? Let me know down in the comments. Also, be sure to leave a like, share this video, and subscribe so that you too can become an Imperial today. And until next time, stay grounded.